Alright, so theoretically should be live because I do not have any brilliant intro music or anything like that yet. Hopefully one day soon I will have something to that effect again. But for now, I'm still working on this crappy old computer. But at least I have a working computer of sorts. So good morning. I hope everybody is doing well. I am hanging in there. Another week has passed and I am not dead, so I am thankful for that. And I apologize for the noise. It is it was a little warm in the room. I forgot to shut down the computer last night, and this room gets very, very warm if the computer is left running. So I apologize. I came in here and the room was like 90 degrees because the computer was running. And so unfortunately, I have to have the air conditioner on here cooling it down a bit. So for that, I am truly sorry. Julesy's first in the house says, "How things, Salty Trekker?" I'm all things considered, I'm okay. It's been an interesting week. Bradley's here, as is Aberjam. Good to see you guys. And I'll tell you, so yesterday was the official day that I was supposed to return to work, which I will tell you I am definitely in no condition to return to work. And so now keep in mind that it was just, man, I can't think straight, but I think like 3-4 days ago that the doctor handed down the diagnosis of the CIS with the leading towards progressive MS. And so, which I sent to the disability people at my work, and so they, I sent that to them, and they're like, okay, well, we'll file for an extension, but then they didn't say anything, and so I sent them a message, and they said, yeah, we sent that to the whatever people, but they still didn't say anything. So I reached out to HR, and they said, well, I don't see anything. And so then the day that I was supposed to return to work comes around, and there's still nothing, which is a Saturday, which means that the disability insurance people, of course, are not in the office because, why would they work on the weekends just because they set return to work dates on the weekends? Why would they bother working on weekends? And and yes, Bradley, the PMS, I know. I see, the only reason I didn't call it the PMS is to avoid the snickering. And Substance D says, hello, I'm drinking coffee. Why do I get the feeling that you're a bot, Substance D? Anyway, I've been getting a lot of those lately on my videos. Anyway, so the so Saturday rolls around. There's nobody at the disability department, and fortunately, the HR manager that I've been talking to, she was working, but I had to text her like 8 times Saturday morning. I'm like, look, what do I need to do? Do you want me to try to report to work today? Should I try to get my computer set up? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And so finally, and hey, Professor, good to see you, buddy. Finally, after, and I started texting the HR manager at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I would have started earlier, but I didn't want to be rude. And, business hours officially usually started around 8, but I didn't want to be, I didn't know for sure what her schedule was, so I figured 9 was a safe bet. So I sent her a first text right at 9, sent her a follow-up text at 9:30, sent her another text at 10, and basically every half an hour after that. She finally responded at a little after noon and said that she saw that there was, my leave status was in a suspended status, which meant that they were reviewing it. And it's like, well, isn't that just dandy? But they put it into a suspended status basically Friday night. And so that means that, and somebody disliked the stream? Really? Why? Come on. You're going to dislike the stream? At least have the guts to tell me why. Don't be a sniveling little, no, sorry. I'm not going to. What can I say? I always hated that. If you're going to dislike a live stream, at least have the balls to tell the person why you're disliking their live stream. I've always felt that way. Like, I'm not going to just go onto someone's live stream and leave a dislike and leave. That kind of thing is like, that's cowardice right there. Anyway, seriously, I mean, if it's because I don't like that you're talking about religion, or because, hey, I got my big boy pants on, I can take it, or if it's, I don't like that you have a, gray in your beard, whatever it is, but, it's okay, Professor. I don't take it to and see now somebody else dislikes, of course. Bunch of cowards. Anyway, I just think it's funny. Don't get me wrong. When people dislike and they think, haha, I'll get this guy. I never understood it. If disliking something is fine, but it doesn't serve any productive purpose unless you actually give a reason. Like, what do you think that's going to do? Do you think I'm going to stop the stream and just start crying into my pillow because someone disliked the stream? I've got way bigger issues to worry about than whether or not someone disliked my stream. Like I said, I'm sitting there talking about my job and my health and all that, and yeah. Anyway, I want to make my channel as entertaining as I can for people. I just wish people would have the guts to tell me why they don't like it. All right. Anyway, back to it. So she just basically, now I got to wait until Monday to see why it's in suspended status, to see if they approve an extension, which means that I'm not working right now, but we don't know if it's approved that I'm not working. Isn't that great? Love it. I can never pronounce, man, I sometimes can pronounce your name right, but not today. Metropolisk Radio says, I dislike the stream just because I can. Ha 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 ha. Just kidding. Just wanted to mess with you as the second guy to do it. Okay. Well, jerk. CDJ says, greetings. How's the sodium treating you this weekend? Not too bad. I mean, I gotta say, aside from dealing with the insurance people, the HR people have been nice enough about it. I'm stressed out about, what am I going to do about the bills and stuff, but, and honestly, the biggest scare is, are we going to be able to keep the house? Which, if this stretches out more than another couple of months, the answer to that's going to be a resounding no. And this is where, like, the name of the stream comes into play. If we lose the house, we lose the house. It's not the end of the world. It's not the apocalypse just because we may have to move. And so we may have to look at, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that maybe we're going to have to move into a place that, smaller than this. Maybe not the style of home we would have preferred. When we bought this house, it was our intent that this was it. This was the house that we were going to die in, basically. This was the house that we were going to, I was going to work until I retired, and then we were going to grow old and die in this house, and that was going to be it. But sometimes that's not how it works. Just because those were my plans, maybe those weren't God's plans. Maybe for whatever reason, God wants us to be in a condo, so hey. So if that's the case, and we'll deal with it. And I'll live with it, and or I'll die with it, depending, And it's funny because when I say that, I don't mean that in a negative way. We forget that Paul wrote about this in the Bible, that, eventually we all die, and to die is gain if we die in Christ. But we, and that sounds very morbid, but it's something that we need to live in Christ to die in Christ. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding morbid to some of you today, but it's times like these that we have to hold on to our faith. Because if we don't hold on to our faith at times like these, we panic in times like these. Aberjam says, I thumbed you down because I'm prejudiced against hobbits. I figured it was you. God will take you where you need to be. That's true. Well, and sometimes, God will take you wherever he needs me to be. Or God will take you, sometimes it's like where I think I need to be and where God knows I need to be are two different places, which can be very frustrating. But yeah. So I was like, why can't I see very well? And my glasses are a little dirty. I'm so horrible about it. I don't know what it is, but I always get dirt on my glasses. And so I keep a steady supply of these little alcohol wipes right here by my desk so that I can clean them. Because I'm so bad about keeping my glasses clean. And these are the only way I can ever get them clean. That's a little better. Now I can actually see. Synthosaurus Rex says, greetings from Germany. Say, is that a Doomsday machine behind you on the shelf? Where can I get that? That is a Doomsday on the machine on the shelf, right next to the Battlestar Galactica in the Orville. And I'm not 100% sure. The missus found that and got it for me for my birthday last year. Or was it the year before? Something like that. So, unfortunately, I couldn't tell you where you could get one, Synthosaurus, but, yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? And it actually has a little battery-powered light that goes inside so that the inside glows like the original, but I lost the battery-powered light, but it's awesome. And Abjab says, yes, where he needs you to be. I should have been clear about that. Well, no, that's all right, man. It's all good. But that's something that, well, it is a combination. Sometimes God puts you where you need to be for his plans. And sometimes, honestly, it's where you need to be to learn a lesson. Sometimes it's where you need to be just to stew for a while. But the thing is, what we don't always understand, in fact, what we rarely understand, is why we need to be there, And the problem is that we get all, and this can be so difficult, Aberjam, and I tell you, and I struggle with this. I truly do. And Aberjam thought it was an elephant's earwax. No, it's a Doomsday machine, jerk. It's a little too far behind me to reach and grab, but yes, it's I can't quite get it there. But what was I going to say? We tend to get worked up on the why, and we want God to explain the why to us. And honestly, sometimes we just need to sit back and experience it and deal with it. And that's a difficult thing for us to do, to be accepting of it, rather than just say, oh, because sometimes we don't, we say we want to know the why, but do we really want to know the why? If we think about it, um, if you're going through a really, really rough time, and sometimes, first of all, sometimes it's just dumb luck, right? There are situations, and Indy, good to see you. Says good morning, Saltines and Salty Trekker. Hey, Saltines, that's it. That's the name of followers of the Salty Trekker from now on. So, uh, sometimes the why is because. Sometimes the reason we trip and fall and break our leg is because we were stupid and tripped. Sometimes we trip and fall because the devil wants to prevent us from getting to wherever we're going. Sometimes we trip and fall because God wants to redirect us. And we don't know which one is the answer, right? And sometimes it's a combination of things that we don't know about. And in fact, one of the, interesting things that I was watching a video by a YouTube pastor, guy named Mike Winger, and he's not a bad pastor. He's not as good as Pastor Corey at our church, in my opinion, but he's not a bad pastor. And he was talking about, someone asked him about this, where, I'm going through, someone said basically, because he does like a 20 questions every Friday where people ask him various theological questions. And I like listening to his 20 questions videos because as a person who I consider myself kind of an armchair theologian, I like to listen to the questions and then I'll pause the video and kind of think about how would I answer this, and then I'll continue on the video and listen to how Pastor Mike answers it and kind of compare notes and see, well, did he have a better answer, or did based on, because he'll usually pull up some kind of scripture to back up what he's saying, and I'll say, okay, he had a better point, he had a better answer. Or would I stick to my guns and say, no, my answer is better, or are we on the same page? And I'll find that usually when we're on the same page, that kind of reinforces where I stand. And when we're differing, then then basically it forces me to dig deeper into the scriptures to either confirm where I stand or to change my position on something. And I like that. That's how I like to grow as a Christian. But when dealing with the why question, someone was dealing with something. I can't remember what the details of it were now. It was some time ago, but someone was dealing with the why question. They said they were dealing with something not quite like what I am, but it was a big life circumstance where they were just having problem after problem after problem, and they were saying, it seems so unfair that all these bad things were happening to them, and they're convinced that the string of bad things couldn't just be coincidence. And so because of that there must be some kind of divine influence on that, which means that either God himself or some kind of angelic or demonic influence was involved. And so, if so, why? And to which Mike answered that that's not an answerable question, because you don't know why, and you'll never know why on this side of eternity. Because why could be that you're being redirected. Why could be that that something is trying to stop you. It's not something that he could answer, I should say. And sometimes he said, you should read the book of Job, because sometimes why is something beyond your comprehension. Like, what happened to Job? With the boils and all the various things that happened to Job in that book was beyond Job and his friends' understanding, right? They were trying to, like Job's friends and his wife and everything were convinced that Job must have done something wrong to incur the wrath of God, because that was their understanding of how it all worked. But in truth, it was something clearly different than what they had thought because in Job, the curtain was lifted and we kind of got to see what was going on in heaven, in God's court, if you will. And so that was actually a very interesting story. And if you've never read the story of Job, it is a bizarre and fantastical read, and would make one heck of a movie if somebody could make it and take it seriously. Which, unfortunately, I don't think that a Hollywood producer or director could. And I don't think a Christian producer or director would be up to the task, which is too bad. But whatever. But what happened to Job was beyond his comprehension, was beyond his understanding and his ability to understand. And then at the end of Job, the climax of the book, that was the whole point, was Job going to God himself. Job actually got an audience with God himself and asked why. And what was God's answer? Who do you think you are to question me? Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Which, of course, then people try to use as an argument for flat earth, right? But it's like, dude, really? That's where you're going to go with that? That's what you're going to get out of Job? Is flat earth? Okay, whatever. But that's where, because the point of Job was not the shape of the earth. The point of Job was that there are things that are beyond your understanding. And don't even bother asking. So when you start questioning why, God, sometimes the answer from God is, yeah, you ain't going to understand this one. Just move along home, right? Just play the game. Just move on. And that's tough. That's not an easy answer to take. Because granted, I'm not trying to compare my situation to Job's. But what's that? So Abraham says, so what you're saying is that we need to move about Job, the child murdering being you need to move about we need a movie about Job, the child murderer, being attacked by mud angels throwing all kinds of nastiness at him. Exactly. Yes. At first I was like, what are you talking about? Then I was like, oh, okay, you're talking about, like a sequel to Noah. Yes. from the producers of Noah comes Job. And you see like Job running, Job, it's like, here's what you do. Yeah, it starts out with like Job, like butchering his own kids and then saying, Lord, I've lost my children. Why? Why am I an axe murderer? There you go. Hey, Alex, good to see you. Oh, man. That is exactly how they would do it. They would make Job would basically kill all of his kids and then ask God why. And then God would say, oh, I'm sorry I made you do it. Oh, Lord. But yeah, there are times when we forget that, there's a time for suffering. And Job suffered. And Job was, and I do think another thing that's interesting about Job that a lot of people don't take into account, Job had a lot of suffering in his life. Finances weren't one of them. He was a rich guy. And, granted, he kind of, a lot of his wealth was taken away from him. But he was like rich man's poor. Like, it would be like, some guy that had, oh no, all my stocks have been wiped out. Now I only have my, 15-bedroom mansion in the Hamptons. What will I do? So Job was a wealthy guy. It wasn't that he was destitute, I don't think, but he lost his family. He lost his health. He lost his friends. And he genuinely suffered. And I think that anybody can suffer. And so I think that Job should be an inspiration for us, especially when we're struggling. Because Job shows us that no matter what walk we're in, sometimes stuff happens. That's, and sometimes that stuff is rough. And sometimes that stuff, it might come from the devil, but sometimes it comes with the blessing of God. And that is a mystery. Let's see. And you can't even get the right number of people in the ark in your movie. Well, come on. You got to get first of all, they got the right, it's the Bible that got it wrong, Aberjam. They got it right in the movie. Come on now. Alex says, Job always cheers me up, builds resiliency. I actually like the story. It's just that it is one of those stories that it's riddled in mystery. The more you think about it, if you get into it, for a lot of people, it might seem kind of silly. And I get that. For a lot of people, they read Job and they're just like, well, this is stupid. Why didn't God just get rid of the devil? And that's unfortunate that a lot of people don't understand. They think that, I don't know. It bothers me the way that the thinking of a lot of people, but hey, whatever. Job had everything he could want. That's why Satan challenged his faithfulness. Yeah, and that, which is actually an interesting thing too, is that I think that the devil, I think, picked Job for good reason, because most people that had everything that Job had would have given in. But God picked his champion well, so to speak, because God even said, oh, look at Job. Look at how great he is. Now, granted, I don't, I know Job is considered a poetic book, as opposed to Job is not considered historical. There are some people that would argue on that, but whatever. But I don't care if it is or isn't. I think it's meant to draw inspiration for going through dark times. Jammet Leopard says, "Hey, Trekker, don't think I've ever seen you talk about non-Trek stuff. Maybe I miss a lot of stuff." Well, Jammet, on Sunday mornings, I generally do a religious-themed show. So here we are. This is where we kind of just talk about religion mainly. And then usually by the end of the show, we end up talking about Star Trek anyway. However, if you find this kind of talk offensive or disturbing, then usually Sunday afternoons I do a Star Trek themed live stream, or back to the normal grind. And of course, autocorrect capitalizes Satan for me because autocorrect is evil. Well, yes. And Post Mint Choppa, wow, that's a name, says it's a metaphor. If you're saying that Job is a metaphor, or are you saying something else is a metaphor? Tree of Knowledge, Satan, suffering, it's all connected with free will and being able to express love through choice. I agree. But a lot of people don't understand. I mean, because Aberjam, I know you and I, we disagree on some things vehemently. Like, I know we know that. But I think we're on the same page when it comes to general free will stuff. And exactly, Satan, suffering, those kinds of things are absolutely necessary for free will to exist. If we lived, like a lot of people, they think, why didn't God just make a perfect world where everybody just skipped through the tulips and everything was perfect and we just like spent all day in a constant state of orgasm? And it's like, yeah, that, sounds great until you realize there would be no free will. And in fact, there'd be no thought. There would be there would be nothing. We would be automatons. Alex says, once tried to explain to an atheist buddy that if there was a God, he allows evil because he wants us to learn. He replied, what a nice guy God must be. Well, the problem is that God, in order for us to be able to be good, we must also be able to choose evil. The problem is that you can't have one without the other. One cannot choose good unless one can choose evil. And in fact, that was kind of, read the freaking story of Eden. The whole, prior to the consumption of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Adam and Eve were completely ignorant of good and evil. They didn't understand the concept. And so at that point, at the moment that they consume the fruit, then they at that point, they understood what good and evil were. At that point, they were able to make moral decisions. And at that point, they realized what they did was wrong. And which is kind of an interesting thing, is that the very first moral action was to realize that they had committed
There might
an
not be
immoral
free will,
action.
but I saw Free Willy.
And good to see you. Man from the, you should just call yourself Future Guy. Why don't you call yourself Future Guy? That should be your name. If I was in a constant state of orgasm, I'd never get anything done. Nobody would. And but good to see you, Joseph. And I hope funny. I've never seen Free Willy, but you do have free will. Well, actually, I can't say that. I know I have free will. I can't say I know you have free will. However, I do know for a fact that I do. There's nothing in any way disturbing for me in this. Sounds like you're having fun. Personally, I don't share these same beliefs, so I got to say hi, all. There's a big thank you. No, that's all right, Jen. Well, and I get it, but I just throw that out there because I know some people don't like religious talk. And so I make no secret about my religious beliefs, generally speaking, but I also don't like, shoving them into my videos as in the forefront. So, it's not like I, start out all my videos saying, I like Star Trek, and if you don't agree with me, you're going to hell. That's, that would be great. I should start doing that, the fire and brimstone trekker. Yeah, no autofill, just have to bite the bullet and type the whole thing. It sucks. I'm not sure what you mean there. Synthosaurus says, just sub to your Patreon. It might not save your house, but it's a start. Oh, thank you, Synthosaurus. I do appreciate it. And every little bit helps. And, when it comes to the house thing, I'll tell you, where I'm looking at is, so I'll be completely transparent with where we're at with all that. So, Random Menace says, we are both married men. Free will has limits. Well, okay. Fair point. I'll give you that one. And Average says, exactly my kind of points against Calvinists who say mankind can't recognize good. God himself said they have become like us, knowing both good and evil. Yes. Man became a moral creature at the consumption of the fruit. How much do you enjoy talking about Gnostic heresies? I sidetracked a lot of Bible studies with it. Gnostics can help to understand progressive ideologies. I'm not really into the Gnostic stuff, just being honest about it. I think they're kind of nutbags. That's my honest opinion on the Gnostics. But let me tell you, okay, so currently I'm on what's called short-term disability. Short-term disability reduces my income to approximately 60% of norm, and which is not enough. You guys have helped fill in some of the gap there, which I thank you. And our church has actually filled in the rest. And I will tell you, no joke, our church has actually paid our mortgage, the full amount of our mortgage, the last 2 months. We have an incredible church that we attend, and without them, we would have already been forced to sell. Now, the church is also, I mean, look, they will, and I'm not panicked about being homeless or anything like that. I will tell you straight up, in part because of our church, like Muhammad, our benevolence pastor, and I do by the way, his name being a Muhammad is kind of funny. He is, in fact, a former imam. And for those of you that don't know the term, an imam is the Muslim equivalent of a pastor. He actually is a converted Muslim pastor who is now a pastor at our church, which I think is really cool. And not only that, but he's the benevolence pastor, meaning that he is in charge of any time that our church gives away money to people. And so one of the things that our church does before they, and by the way, I knew this for, we've been doing this for years, and I've been a big supporter of it, and I still am. One of the things that our church does before they will give you a dime is verify that we do not require membership. We do not require that you attend our church or anything like that. But we do require that you sit down and we go over your finances, right? So we say, okay, let's look at your bills. What do you got? How much is your rent? How much is your car payment? How much is your income? What's your phone bill? What are your other expenses? Let's see them all. You show us all the dirty laundry. Oh, you don't know what they are? Bring in the bank statements, right? That's how that, and they do that for a reason. We don't want to be giving money to someone who's pissing it away, right? It makes perfect sense. If you got someone who's making $50,000 a year, and they're just basically living beyond their means, why are we going to give them money? Right? As opposed, what they need is financial counseling, not money. Right? As opposed to someone in a situation like us where our money was suddenly cut, and now we don't make an, all of a sudden we're barely keeping it above water. And so we were able to this is what all our bills are, and here's how much money we're making. So anyway, so the church, and Muhammad's flat out said, look, we're not going to let you guys go homeless, but we also have to have long-term plans here. What are we going to do if because he knows about my health situation. What are we going to do if things don't get better? Because the church ain't going to pay your mortgage for the rest of your life, And so what we talked about is, so right now I'm on short-term disability. Short-term disability lasts until the maximum that short-term disability will last, assuming that they approve the extension that I'm still waiting for. The maximum it'll go is until September 30th. As of September 30th, assuming that it goes, that I'm not any better at that point, then it would transfer from short-term disability to long-term disability. Which has some good and bad to it. The good is long-term disability. I would still continue to get paid. I would still continue to get my health benefits. All that would be kind of uninterrupted. And further good is long-term disability, once it's approved, is guaranteed for 2 years, which means that you don't have to constantly get reapproved. It's guaranteed for 2 years. The bad, you're no longer employed. So while I would have guaranteed income at a reduced rate for 2 years, I would no longer have a job. And so at the end of those 2 years, you're out of luck. Now, the idea of long-term disability is that by the end of that period, you're kind of expected to go into state disability. But that gives you 2 years to do it. So and they figure that, in that 2-year time frame, you're either going to get onto state disability or get better and get another job. And but the nice thing is that, let's say you get better in 10 months, well, you still have 14 months of disability pay left, and you can actively get another job, and you still have that disability pay coming in, and that and the health benefits. And your health benefits and disability pay are not impacted even if you get another job. So that's a good thing. So that means that you can hopefully catch up your bills and stuff that you've fallen behind on. So there's good and bad to it. But I don't want it to go that far, but that's worst case scenario. And I'll get to the chat in just a minute once I get this little tirade done. However, if it does get to that point, well, then we're going to be looking at reduced pay for at least the next couple of years. So if that's the case, we're going to look at, okay, we can't have the church pay our mortgage for at least 2 years. So at that point, we're going to, because of the fact that we have so much equity in the house, because the mortgage wasn't at the full buying price of the house anyway, and B, the value of the house has literally doubled since we purchased the house. We could sell the house, pay off the mortgage on the house, and buy a lower cost, smaller home with no mortgage, and be able to live off of the disability pay combined with YouTube revenue for those 2 years. So that's basically our fallback plan at this point. And the church will basically help us do that. So that's kind of, I don't want to do that because I love this house, but if things have not gotten any better in 2 months, that's what we'll be talking about. But I leave it, as they say, to God. I truly do believe that God can and will provide if that is his plan. If God wants us to be in this house, then in the next 2 months, he can change the circumstances. If being in this house is not part of the plan, then in the next 2 months, he can set those circumstances in motion as well. Anyway, let's get back to it. All right. My church won't let anyone in if they are the wrong denomination. That is the wrong attitude. I understand that really the church, I do understand where churches would give preferential treatment to members, although our church doesn't really have a membership role. But at the same time, and we've had that happen too, where churches would turn us away for help. Even churches we've attended. There was a church we attended, International Church of Christ, where we were attending for some time, and we ran into a problem. We needed a little bit of help, and one of the elders of the church said, "Oh yeah, no problem, we'll get you the help." And then they said, "Oh, but we can't because you're not members yet, sorry." And so we were like, "Okay, we're gone. If that's really how you're going to do things, no thank you." Aberdeen said, "There's sadly a lot of narrow-mindedness in the Christian faith." That is true. What denomination is your church? Talking to Alex. Mike says, "I'm sorry that you're back in the financial equivalent of the fire swamp. I definitely feel your pain. My mom's healthcare costs are massive too." Yeah, the healthcare has definitely. I'm not gonna. Don't get sick in the United States. That's all I can say. We got a great healthcare system, but it ain't a cheap one. And I will tell you, getting sick in the you know what, Bird of Prey 5, I love you, Betty. I love you, Bird. You're a great guy. But you're just wrong about healthcare. Because we need to do something, because people are getting rich off of the healthcare system, and that needs to change. We seriously, I don't know what the answer is, but the answer isn't making people pay $700 to get an MRI. Sorry. Let's see. Alex is saying, Greek Orthodox, they believe that communion is a symbol of unity, not a means of achieving it. Greek Orthodox is a little odd. I know a little bit about them, not enough. I used to have a good friend that was Greek Orthodox. Let's see. Time to start that. What the heck is OnlyFans? I keep hearing people talking about OnlyFans. What the heck is OnlyFans? Let's see. If you're going to start an OnlyFans, you definitely need that boob job. Well, need money for a boob job, I think, Aberjam. And as your patron, I will, of course, constantly demand stuff. How about supercuts of your review series? Don't worry, I'll stop interrupting now. Me and the wife are talking about doing stuff on the Patreon channel, but we just set that new Patreon channel up. We're going to set up a separate YouTube channel, and we were talking about doing stuff on that Patreon, but we're just getting set up. And part of it's right now, all my spare time goes into going to doctor's visits and stuff. When things start to settle down, we'll see. I don't know. I do want to do stuff on there, though. Is it good they check your finance? It is good they check your finances. An older buddy of mine in a church keeps getting scammed by women begging for food. Yeah. And I actually agree with that practice. I think it's a good idea because they do then turn around and offer, like one of the things that Mohammed did was he says, okay, well, let's look at what are you, for example, I'll tell you, he looked over on my on my budget, and he says, okay, so I see you have here Hulu, you have here HBO Max, and Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, and which are all streaming services, right? And those are all the streaming services I currently pay for. And he says, can you get rid of those? And I said, well, I use those to download and use shows and stuff for clips for my YouTube channel, which, as you can see, brings in income of $200 to $500 a month. And he goes, oh, well, in that case, don't get rid of those. That's a business expense, And so, he's not being unreasonable about it. He says he can see that it's entertainment, but at the same time, it's entertainment that serves a purpose. So he's not, stupid. However, he did say, well, you can get rid of Spotify. Okay, fair enough. Don't need Spotify. And Ryan says, now that you're a spicy food eating professional, I believe things are looking up. Actually, funny you should say that, Ryan. I'm actually getting low on these cheese balls, so I'm going to have to order some more soon. I actually am planning on ordering some more because that's actually done well at helping raise the super chat revenue. As painful as they've been very good to me. And let's see. And Howard Jam says, Luke 12:29, and do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink and worry about it, for the pagan world runs after such things, and your Father knows that you need them. Yes, and I believe the next verse is, and do not set your heart on 2.2 million Scoville chili peppers. Robert says, hello this morning. How you doing, Robert? Israel is actually has a better healthcare system and innovation than any other country does. Well, that may be true, Robert, but I don't live in Israel, so it doesn't matter. OnlyFans is basically where people pay to watch your hot tub live stream. Well, I don't think people would pay to watch my hot tub live stream. Just saying. It'll be the walrus stream. I don't think people would pay for that one. Jason says, being in Canada, I can say that our system is far from ideal. Catastrophic things won't destroy your finances, but instead of days or weeks, it's easily months or years to get treated. See, that's that. Jason, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is a problem, is that you run into. And yeah, you say Canadians would fall over themselves to pay $750 for an MRI if it was scheduled as fast as you had it scheduled. That's, you see, and that's the flip side, is that we need to find a way to both get quality care, like in the United States. I think we have good quality health care. For example, yeah, that MRI, like in the last, let's see, since March, because March is when this whole thing started. Since March, I've had 3 MRIs, a CAT scan, 2, I can't remember what they're called, but these visual cortex tests. And on Tuesday of this week, I'm going in for a memory, some kind of weird memory test, and not to mention a plethora of doctor's visits, and also a nerve conduction study. And I'm trying to think, there's been a couple other tests as well. So that's in a span of 5 months, right? I've had all these various tests. Now, 3 MRIs in 5 months, right? That's, you know, and so that is, and 2 of those MRIs were, one was right after the initial incident back in, it was in April, the first one where they scanned the lesions in my brain. The second one was just a couple of weeks ago, scanning the same thing, and then the other one was like midway in between. So, so that combined with, the quality of care has been great. However, we're broke. We've spent our entire savings. Our credit cards are maxed out. And that's the flip side of that, is that the problem is that you kind of get this, you pay for this great quality care. And so then, compare that to Canada, like you said, where, well, you can get all these tests, but to get those 3 MRIs, it might take you a couple of years, and, in a couple of years, what's your, assuming you're suffering from the same condition that I'm going through right now, a couple of years of the symptoms that I'm going through is a lot of suffering and a lot of non-productivity if, you can get treatments that would actually work. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not saying that there's a simple answer, but man, we gotta figure something out. So Mike says OnlyFans' website allows you to post pictures and videos behind a paywall. Obviously, mostly regular. It's mostly regular people making porn and making money off their subscribers. Gotcha. Okay. Well, sounds disgusting. No, thank you. Nobody would want porn of this body. I can tell you that for sure. And even if they did, I don't think I'm quite up to that. No. Average says nothing Salty Trekker does can accurately be called professional. Wow. Thanks, Averjam. I love you too, buddy. Alex says you will make more if you do an episode rewrite request instead of cheese balls. You say that, Alex, but it's not true. And look, I wish it were. I pour my heart and soul into making a video, like those rewrites and stuff, and I'll get 500 views, maybe 1,000. And honestly, to get the amount of revenue I get from eating one cheese ball, I would need to get about 100,000 views on a video. So that's the honest truth of actually more than that. Probably 200,000 views. So it's not, if that's why in order to make real money on YouTube, you got to be a channel the size of Trek Yards or Lore Reloaded just to get going. And that's just the way it works. I wish it weren't the case. But when I did those rewrite videos, maybe 500 people would watch them, and I love doing them. I absolutely love doing them, but nobody was watching them, and nobody was sharing them. And since nobody was watching them and no one is sharing them, I can't put 20, 30, 40 hours into a video that 500 people are going to watch, and I'm going to get 8 cents in revenue on, when I can sit there and eat a cheese ball and in 5 minutes make $20. I know that sounds horrible, but it's the world we live in. I don't like it. But I am working on some videos, and some fun videos, but we'll see. You know what? If people start watching the videos again, maybe people start watching videos. But unfortunately, the only way to get people to watch your videos right now is to be the frickin' critical drinker and pretend you're drunk and talk about how horrible everything is. That's the only way to get people to watch your videos. On the topic of accuracy in movies, did you watch Passion, and what are your thoughts? Passion of the Christ, it was a good movie. It wasn't, I mean, it's better than most biblical movies as far as accuracy is concerned. I mean, I didn't sit there with a notepad and try to say, well, you know, they got that line from Jesus a little bit off or anything. I thought that as far as biblically accurate films, it was probably one of the most accurate biblical films. Like most biblical films that produced by Catholics, as Mel Gibson is, it overemphasized Mary. But I'm kind of used to that. And yeah, Alex, they do squeeze the Gospels together, but that's also a common practice in biblical films. But at least, and I will say this, that they didn't add a bunch of non-biblical stories to it to weave together the Gospel. Instead, they actually used the crucifixion to weave together the story, the various events of the Gospels. And so what they usually end up doing in most Jesus movies is they'll tell a narrative, like they'll make up a story about one of the apostles, or they'll make up a new character that's just kind of hanging around with the apostles or something. And they'll follow that person as they're going along, and then, oh, look, here's the Sermon on the Mount, and then they'll go along some more, and oh, look, here's this event. Or they'll just follow Jesus, or whatever they do. But they always have to make all this dialogue and all these things that happen in between in order to weave the story together. So what they did in The Passion, which I think was actually kind of brilliant, was they actually just used the crucifixion event, which they have very detailed information on. One of the few events where they do know from step by step by step how it went. And then they told the gospel events as flashbacks. Brilliant idea. Because that way you don't need to tell the story of how they got from point X to point Y to point Z, because they can just tell it in flashbacks. I thought that was brilliant. James said, both our healthcare systems are effectively the same skill and capacity-wise, but they're both rather dysfunctional. HMOs were the beginning of the cost issue in the U.S. Jason says, so darn you, Nixon. Well, did Nixon come up with HMOs? I don't know. And so, yes, many Canadians go down there and pay out of pocket. Even some of our provincial premiers have. Yeah. I've heard of that. And Aberjam says, take your shirt off. Ooh la la. You'd have to give me a lot of money to get me to take my shirt off. I have sneaky suspicion you are on top chat. No, I am on live chat, actually. One picture, tasteful picture of Mrs. Pepper on OnlyFans would make a surprising amount of money. I'm sure it could, but the Mrs. is not a hooker. And that's exactly what she would say. I have a sneaky suspicion you're no, I've already read that. I am not. It is illegal to pay for private health care that is supposed to be covered under the Canada Health Act. Really? I did not know that. Alex says, I meant the live stream rewrite request. You know what? Yeah, that's on.
He who controls the
there it is.
Controls the universe.
My crypto is up, so here is a 10 a share, my friend.
Thank you so much for the 10 Shatners. I appreciate it. And so you're making cryptocurrency, huh? I don't know how to. I need to figure out how to do the crypto thing. Maybe I can make $1 million by doing nothing. I'm sure that works. I meant a live stream rewrite request. A live stream rewrite request. I'm not sure what you mean then. Also, my ex-roommate from Canada was diagnosed with a genetic kidney disorder this weekend when we got back to Canada 6 months to conform. A genetic kidney disorder on a weekend when he got back to Canada 6 months to conform. I'm not sure what that means either, Alex, but what do you mean by live stream rewrite request? You mean by rewriting a live stream or a rewrite request that was submitted on a live stream by you? Orion says, maybe we can find something great for super chats that don't cause you pain. Well, that would be great. You can, do you find Twitch gives decent return for hours invested? Unfortunately, no. I like doing stuff on Twitch, and I'll probably continue to do streams on Twitch as I'm able. But Twitch actually, only if people subscribe on Twitch, which some people do, some people don't. Like, when people realize they can do a free subscription through Amazon Prime, that helps. But as far as return on investment, I get more from YouTube. But I think to get more out of Twitch, I think I would have to be a better gamer. And since the thing that sucks about it, and this is where what I'm really struggling with, CD, is my reflexes and my fine motor skills are going down steadily. And so, like, at this point, Minecraft is the only game I can play. I've loaded up Steam a couple of times, and I try to play games that are, real games, and I can't play them. I just get slaughtered, even on the easy mode. And it's because since my motor skills are so bad, I can't compete. Now, right now, I can't play mini games anyway, because this computer that I'm on right now is basically literally a bare bones system. And once I get my main system back, I'll be able to try some different games again. But man, I mean, I'm thinking, I might try to do some point and click adventures type of stuff, like, some of the stuff that Matthew's done. But I can't do platformers. Which I love platformers, but I can't do platformers anymore because platformers require hand-eye coordination. Can't do it. I can't do shooters. It's driving me crazy.
Regarding my roommate, Russia diagnosed him in 2 days, Canada in 6 months.
Oh, I see.
And this what I meant, rewrite, sacrifice of angles, ending here for $5.
Gotcha. Okay. I was thinking about, so you were talking about the request someone made to, I don't remember if it was you, but someone said I should try to redo the ending of Sacrifice of Angels so it makes more sense. I may do that. The problem is, see, and here's where I become my own worst enemy, because what I want to do is, like, do it with all the bells and whistles and have, like, visual effects and stuff like that, and I just don't have the ability to do that. I can show clips of pre-existing effect shots and talk about it, and I want to actually create my own new visual effects shots. And since I'm so limited and I don't have an editor anymore to help me, all I can really do is just show clips of other shots. But I may do that. Just, do what I know as opposed to trying to tread new ground. And, I think that Sacrifice of Angels could have used a much better ending. So I may do that, because Lore Reloaded has run the Dominion War into the ground. Why not try to do it right? And, yeah. I'll do the same thing Lore Reloaded did, only better. Only real complaint about Passion was a weird Satan baby vision. Yeah, the Satan baby thing was a little odd, but that was just, I mean, that's a matter of artistic vision as far as the way that he personally casts Satan as kind of a woman with a child in a weird way. Turn-based strategy might work. That's actually not a bad idea, CD. I might be able to pull off a turn-based strategy game. I just never been into them as much, but Day of the Tentacle, is that a game? Let's see. Day of the Tentacle. I've not heard of that one. Is that if so, if that's a game it sounds like it'll be a fun one. It sounds like a Futurama kind of thing. Is that what you're saying, Stanley? Because if so, that might be a fun one to play. Because I would love it if it's like a snarky parody kind of thing. We don't need a fancy videos, just tell them 3 to 4 minutes. I appreciate that, Alex. And you know what? I'll probably try to do something like that. You know, it's I might, you know, yeah, I might, let's see. It's point and click adventure from, oh, okay, I vaguely remember it. Okay, I vaguely remember it. Now that you mention it, I kind of vaguely remember it. Like, I would love, somebody should do like that would be a great real-time strategy game. Or not real. You see, that's the thing. I love real-time strategy games, but point-and-click strategy games I would have to get used to. I wonder how come people weren't up in arms, as they say, when the Blade movies, they changed the mentor and trainer from black man to white man. Well, first of all, because, now I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy they cast as Whistler was freaking awesome. Second of all, because race and gender swapping back then was not as big a deal as it has become. Nowadays, it's become, and plus, they weren't doing it to the main character. Like, if they had made Blade into a white dude, I think that people would have been mad. So, yeah. All right, so let me, hold on. I'm going to switch screens so I can't see the chat real quick. But I'm starting a new Google Doc because I'm learning from Lore Reloaded. I'm calling it Sacrifice of Salt. There. So I created a new Google Doc called Sacrifice of Salt to remind me to start rewriting Sacrifice of Angels, the ending. So basically from the point that the Defiant breaks through the lines and what to do there. Let's see. Crypto is weird. It's no less fake than any flat currency out there, but it's such a mystery to people it feels like a scam. Some are, but the biggies aren't. Well, here's the problem, Jason, is that I wouldn't know the first thing on how to set it up. I know that crypto, well, yeah, it is kind of a scam, or, well, I wouldn't say a scam. It's fake, because every other currency is backed by a government. Crypto isn't. Crypto is kind of an anarchist currency. And so, you know, that's not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but, you know, But I don't know. I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm mining for cryptocurrency," because and that's one of the reasons for all the GPU shortages is people crypto mining it. Whatever. I don't get how you do that. I know you need some kind of software to do it, but I don't know what software you use. Blah blah blah. And then you got to like sell the cryptocurrency on some kind of crypto exchange or whatever, and I wouldn't know how to do that. The funny thing is that, you know, hey, I had a decent computer that I had a great graphics card on where I probably could have mined some cryptocurrency, but I don't know how to do that, so whatever. Anyway, it was Chris Christopherson. Thank you. Yes. And Chris was freaking awesome. Like, I love the, like, catch you effers at a bad time. You know, he was just awesome. Jay says, what Minecraft you playing, PC or console? PC, and yeah, I've been playing it on Twitch a couple times a week. And I'm playing it on Thomas Potts's server and been having some fun. You are learning from lore. Oh, dear God, help us. Yes, indeed. It is, in fact, one of the signs of the apocalypse, I believe. Let's see. The best way to get into it without risk is to mine some once you get your big rig back. Yeah, but Jason, I have no idea how to do it. Someone needs to show me. And that's the problem. Now you can make like $1 a day compared to a couple hundred a day. Well, then that's not really, I mean, well, I guess it's $30 a day. Yeah, if somebody would show me how to do it, maybe that I could make enough off of that to help. But yeah, I don't know if it's worth it or not. But hey, you know, I have this other computer sitting there that maybe if I can get it up and running again, it can help. Anyway, so that's something for, you know, those of you that know anything about it. If you guys can help me figure it out, I would greatly appreciate it. Not right this very second, but actually, you know, if you have me on Discord, send me a DM on Discord and show me how to do it. Anyway, but I do need to get running. I'm gonna try to stream later. Maybe eat a couple of cheese balls or do some Minecraft or something, depending on energy levels. But I'm also going to start, I was going to work on something else, but thanks to you, I think I will start working on my sacrifice of salt. I think, you know what, I do think I'm going to do that. On my lore videos, I'm going to somehow get salt into the title of all my lore videos. So that may be a bad idea because nobody will recognize it, but I'll try it anyway. And see if anybody watches it. Nobody will watch it. You just watch. Like 150 people will watch Sacrifice of Salt. You just watch. Unless you guys like actually help me with the algorithm, nobody's going to watch it. But we'll see. And so, anyway, guys, live long and prosper. I will hopefully see many of you later on today. And we'll hang out and talk about other things, but including cryptocurrency or whatever. And let me see if I can get this stupid thing to work. Yeah. All right, guys. So take care, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you, I guess. Yeah. How much is the red box going for on the shelf? I already ate that. That was painful. That was $500 thanks to the Fed doc, and it hurt. And I ain't doing another one of those unless someone pays me $1,000, because that was hell. Hell, I tell you. Never doing that again.